It's 10:30 a.m. in the economic capital, Douala. Thanks for joining us on today's edition of Prime Flash on My Media Prime Television. With me, Audrey Zatsa. Government teachers strike continues this morning following the death of one of theirs, Amidu, a physical education teacher at the government high school Baker in Gaundere, Adamawa region. The information is contained in a communique signed by the Cameroon Teachers Trade Union on March 8. Amidu is said to have given up the ghost yesterday, March 8, after suffering from an illness and being unable to get medical assistance due to lack of finance. The deceased, a few days before his death, in a recent video, revealed that he had not received any salary for 10 years. His death has sparked condemnations across the country, with government teachers persisting on their fight and students supporting them. More than 2,000 people are now homeless and stranded in the economic capital after they were evicted from their homes at the Esenge neighborhood, an operation which is said to be that of the Douala Port Authority, as some of them were, as the plot belongs to the Douala Port Authority. Some of the residents were able to save a few things before their evictions, while others say they were not informed of this operation. Thousands of women yesterday celebrated the 37th edition of the International Women's Day in Cameroon, with a parade for the first time since the first case of COVID-19 was detected in Cameroon in March 2020. In the nation's capital, the Minister of Women Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena, presided over the event, which saw hundreds of women from all walks of life march in front of national and international dignitaries. Colette Loom tells us more.
Women of the Central region have demonstrated all styles and moves as they march past the 20th May Boulevard, this 37th edition of the International Women's Day. A day set aside to celebrate women in all their value and hard work, and most importantly, for women to look deep into the areas of their corporate lives where things are not right and make it right. This year's 37th edition March Past was presided over by the Minister of Women Empowerment and the Family, Professor Marie-Thérèse Abena, representative of the First Lady Chantabia, who didn't make it this year live at the 20th May Boulevard. Worth noting, this year's edition had 49 women demonstrated in each group, unlike the usual 140 in previous years, on strict COVID-19 measures.
The march past was nice. The march past was very interesting, and you see the women together with so many good and nice attire. You know that the women in Cameroon is really something marvelous.
Regarding this year's theme on equality between women and men for a sustainable tomorrow,
for the theme of this year, we are also happy because it is improving the image of the woman. If we can manage to have an equality between women and men, it will be a good thing for us. I don't believe strongly at that. It is a dream. As we consider every dream, it is something to be. So I think that it will come slowly but not completely, because God said the woman is under the man.
All in all, can women do same like men?
It can be equal because anything a man can do, a woman can do it more better. A man and a woman will never be equal because God make them differently. I'm advising the women in Cameroon that they should not sit and fold their hand and wait for their husband to feed them or to give them money or to give money for their upkeeping. So they should struggle and fight for themselves.
Whatever the case may be, some schools of thought have it that a woman can never equate to a man, that natural forces made it that way, but hard-working women who deserve a position should be accorded, and women should not be limited in any form and break limits to do those jobs society term are only meant for men. Thus, women emancipation put in practice.
Let's equally have the effervescence of the celebration of the 37th edition of the International Women's Day here in the economic capital. A day celebrated under the theme Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow. Dolly Ngonde.
Celebrating under the theme Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow, women of all age groups and walks of life from every nook and cranny in the city of Douala have joined their peers worldwide in commemorating the International Women's Day. Joining them to celebrate during this 37th edition was the Littoral Governor Samuel Ivaha Diboa, who has seized the opportunity in addressing some regional problems.
People want Douala to be in the fire. I would say that there's no way. Teachers have the problem and the government is doing its best to solve the problem. And government will solve that problem. Concerning those who want children or people to be caught in jail, they have missed their goal.
In addition, the governor has also applauded the massive turnout of the women while calling on the need for responsible feasting behaviors.
We have seen how the women have demonstrated. They have make a mass march here and other activities in our littoral region. So we are proud of what the women are doing here, and let's just go and continue the feast at the level of the family now.
On a day usually set aside to enable women break gender barriers and bias, many have been caught on camera delving masculine-oriented tasks such as drumming, trumpeting, escort riding, driving, amongst others. Talking to some of the women, here now is their knowledge of what they are celebrating. Away from the organized and patriotic March Past parade, the day has also been characterized with the recognition of some outstanding women, plus the display of cultural dances to call it a day.
The President of the Republic of Cameroon, Paul Biya, has instructed the disbursement of 2.7 billion francs CFA for the payment of teachers' arrears. The money is meant for teachers who corrected scripts of the official examinations organized by the Baccalaureate Board for June 2020-2021 session. Joy Ngong tells us more.
This is the very first victory for teachers, which began on Monday, March 7, 2022, 3 weeks into the strike initiated by the movement On a trop supporté. In response to their demands, the President of the Republic has begun deciding on measures to restore calm. A correspondence from the Minister of State Secretary General at the Presidency of the Republic, addressed to his counterparts of the Prime Ministry yesterday, stated that following high instructions from the President of the Republic, the Minister of Finance has been instructed by a separate letter to proceed urgently to lifting the blockage of budgetary precaution for the benefits of secondary and primary education ministries in order to settle certain claims formulated by secondary school teachers. An additional 2.7 billion francs CFA was disbursed to pay arrears of markers of official examinations organized by the Office of the Baccalaureate for June 2020 and 2021 sessions. This is the first concrete response to the accumulated grievances of the teachers. Among other things, these teachers demand an immediate payment of the debt owed them, advancement, family allowances, the automatic indexation of teachers' salaries. While waiting for other solutions, the correspondence from the General Secretariat of the Presidency affirmed that the state recognizes the claims of the teachers as legitimate. The presidential decision to pay the arrears due to teachers mobilized as part of the marking fee of official examinations organized by the Baccalaureate Board comes 4 days after a consultation chaired by the Secretary General as the Presidency of the Republic and in which took part members of the protest movement on a trop supporté.
The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, together with the ASOPEV, a non-governmental organization, have officially launched a project to empower the Central African refugees in 3 border regions of the country. Details right ahead. Cameroon is home to more than 4,000 Central African refugees in the 3 border regions, the South, the Adamawa and the North regions, 30% of whom live in developed sites and 70% of whom live in host communities with whom they share the same natural resources and basic social services that exist. The regions hosting the refugees are among the poorest in the country, where the local population itself is already very vulnerable. Assessments have revealed low capacity for basic services such as food, health, education, water, as well as very limited access to income-generating activities. It is for this reason that ASOPEV, an orphanage and vulnerable peoples association, together with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, a UN refugee agency, officially launched a livelihood project recently in the east region of the country, which aims at empowering refugees and host communities in these 3 border regions of the country.
Le présent projet est donc venu à juste à point nommé pour matérialiser la collaboration avec le Haut Commissariat des Nations.
This project is timely to materialize the collaboration with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to contribute to their empowerment. We do not only want to intervene with the resources made available by the UNHCR, but also to promote a certain coordination between the actors so that interventions are not overpowered and that we can work hand in gloves to ensure that tomorrow is a promise for our refugees and the population. It is equally our contribution to the local economy to help the government.
C'est aussi une contribution à l'économie locale pour aider le gouvernement.
A goal which shall be attained through employment, amongst others.
Il s'agit pour nous de soutenir les réfugiés centrafricains pour un accès plus accru.
It is for us to support the Central African refugees more active in income-generating activities through migrant credit to vocational training and employment in order to strengthen the empowerment and reduce independence from humanitarian aid, which is reducing from years to year. And this we wish to achieve through a partnership with ASOPEV.
Se réduire d'année en année. Et tout ça, nous voulons le faire à travers un partenariat avec ASOPEV.
In 2013, an outbreak of violence between armed groups forced more than 640,000 people to flee the country in search of safety, and an additional 630,000 were internally displaced. The majority of those who fled the country sought refuge in neighboring countries such as Cameroon, Chad, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Republic of Congo, with smaller numbers in Sudan and South Sudan. Today, the Central African Republic continues to experience sporadic surges of violence. The most recent occurrence was in December 2020, after a troubled election displaced more than 200,000 people in less than 2 months. These recent displacements, according to the United Nations Agency, bring the number of displaced Central Africans to over 1.9 million, representing over a third of the country's total population. Despite the Cameroonian government's aid and the humanitarian approach, available resources seem to be insufficient to make ends meet. The 94th batch of students from Casa Kumba have come together in Limbe for a reunion. This was in a bid to get in touch with each other after 20 years. Catherine Ekongwe.
Some ex-students of the 94th batch of Cameroon College of Arts and Science, Kumba, have come together in Limbe for a general reunion. It was a fun-filled event as many were excited to meet friends they had not seen for over 20 years. The Vice President, on behalf of the President, welcomed all the ex-students and appreciated them for their efforts in making the reunion a success.
We thank us for carving out time from our busy schedules to be able to be here at this time. The President and other members of the executive send their greetings. We are so happy that we were able to make it to this point. And it's as a result of our joint efforts. If we were not one, like Ipeme has the slogan, now we will not move up to this extent.
We thank us for contributing. We thank especially those who went an extra mile to make this vocation to be a success.
After a long deliberation, it was unanimously agreed that they shall be holding meetings twice a year. One is to be held at the school premises, during which they intend to give donations, either to the school as a whole or award scholarship to individual students with brilliant performances. At the end of the reunion, the ex-students shared a common meal and visited the beach in Limbe, where they enjoyed the nightlife of the beautiful town of Friendship.
Out of Cameroon, mourners in northwestern Nigeria are said to have buried their dead on Tuesday, March 8, after clashes between a local self-defense vigilante group and armed gunmen killed at least 57 people. According to security forces, the clashes occurred Monday, March 7 in the Zuru district of Kebbi State. Reports say the gunmen were heavily armed and were fleeing military operations in neighboring Niger State when they were intercepted by the local vigilantes. Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari condemned the killings while urging security forces to increase efforts safety efforts. In January, Nigeria's government labeled the criminal gangs as terrorist groups in an attempt to bring tougher sanctions against the government and their informants. We have come to the end of today's edition of Prime Flash, produced by Junior Pelama. Thanks for watching, faithful viewers. Coming up next is In the House with Eileen Sama, and her ladies have a nice time.